That's it. I mean, they invented the foul in the game for a reason.
Right.
It's there to neutralize fast guys.
It's harder to make 2 free throws than a layup.
Exactly, especially when we don't shoot free throws anymore.
Right.
What, do you just take the points then? Is that what you
They just get the ball and they got to start over again. And there's no limit to how many fouls you can have. So if he goes again, you foul him again.
You can't get ejected.
No, just wrap him up.
Ejections are they just turn into verbal arguments sometimes.
Yeah.
Once in a while, somebody gets a little bit perturbed.
There hasn't been much of that, though. People generally get along.
Yeah, generally we're very good. Schwannis showed up this morning.
What?
Yeah.
I missed a John Schwannis
He
sighting?
showed up.
Oh, shit.
So, all Sally's in here, right?
He was done by like...
No, he's not dating.
I think this comes from John.
Do you look
That's
like
awesome.
him?
Exactly the same.
Okay.
Is
And
Jamie,
happy to know he
Jamie's gonna be here,
didn't
right?
play any defense, and he did not go in the paint.
I did
good.
not hear from John.
Yeah.
We started at 7. We got
Okay.
He has a book of
It's
recommendations.
a book and a DVD series.
A DVD series about how to play morning basketball.
We're going to be competing with we're going to be competing with
You're always better off trailing the fast break.
I guess
With
you,
that.
Because some of
I
them
guess
take
you
it
have
off.
2 of them, Patty.
Right.
Okay.
Good. Yep. It is.
We'd like to call a meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will need a motion for the adoption of the consent agenda.
Seconded?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 4, we'll consider approval of the following items on the consent agenda. Approved minutes of September 8th, 2015 Committee of the Whole meeting and September 15th, 2015 regular Board of Education meeting. We need to approve financial report for the period of July 1st, 2015 through September 30th, 2015. And we need to approve the bills for the period of September 1st, 2015 through September 30th, 2015 in the amount of $2,108,056.70.
So moved.
Seconded?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Our district leadership team. We'll consider approval of the 2015-2016 academic pillar. Dan, you want to
Sure.
take it from here?
Yes, I'd like to, first of all, just make a note that our academic pillar from last school year, our 3-year pillar, we review and revise every year, and we always have a 3-year rotation in our strategic plan about what it is that we're shooting for in the academic world in our district. And just as by way of reporting some of the highlights of things that were accomplished in the previous year, we've really gone ahead of schedule, and therefore we've had quite a revision to this year's 3-year academic pillar. But just a couple highlights about some of the things that have been accomplished with the district leadership team, the teachers, the staff, the board's direction have all worked together to really get some great things done, such as we were supposed to begin the expansion of the ag facilities and the curricular offerings as of last year. Well, we certainly have done that. The facility is complete. It's built out and back. There are wonderful new courses and high-end offerings and a plethora of community engagement going on with that facility, so it's wonderful. Our K-8 writing program is fully operational, and it's already been revised 1 time already. It's in a constant state of revision. And in fact, when Sally talks a little bit later about the professional development day that happened just recently, much of it at certain levels had to do with continued work on the curriculum related to the writing program. So that is going well as well. Our career planning goal, we actually ended up putting that, we're continuing to work on it, but it's not it's part of our operation now, so we won't include it in this year's upcoming plan, but it's so ingrained in what we're currently doing through our career counseling model that even though the state is now requiring in 17-18 that all students from 6-12 have a career and academic plan for their futures, I was able to say today at the CISA meeting, talk about what we're doing, and basically we're kind of done. We're already doing anything that the state is requiring other districts to do. We've already been there for a couple of years, and anything that we do currently and moving forward is just gravy, actually. Another part that we completed last year, we had our first cohort from UWGB graduate, and some of the work that group is doing is really making an impact to what's happening for our kids in our district. So again, Sally will mention a little bit about how that is continuing in our professional development, but also boots on the ground daily with teachers. So a lot of great things have been accomplished as to date with our academic pillar. So I'm just going to go through what our future states are for this upcoming in our 3-year plan currently, and then I'll hit some of the highlights about where we're heading in our big dream goals for where we want our district to be and hopefully our kids to get as well. So one of the future states where we want to be with kids in our academic excellence for the 21st century pillar is that all students should be prepared to enter post-high school education in order to find their personal success in a global society. Some of the highlights, things that we're going to continue to work on and begin working on. For example, we are going to be developing STEAM curriculum pathways for career exploration in grades 5 through 8. And that includes science, technology, engineering, the arts, and mathematics, all as a team approach focused on those kinds of subject areas and kind of a student-driven, explorative type of educational model with technology and math and those things as the cornerstone. So that's a direction that we're heading. We're creating additional rigorous offerings in the arts, including cum laude and K-8 options. We are assessing our differentiation levels in the district compared to what professionally we believe we should be doing in accordance with research, and moving forward with our differentiation work and our inclusion model in the district. And we're going to continue to create community and business connections related to the Food Science and Agriculture Center in our curricular areas. And again, Sally will mention in a little bit how that is currently going on already at the high school level with our teachers heading out, making new connections, and working in those fields to bring real-life applications in those subject areas from our industry and business partners to the students here in our school district. So a lot of excellent work moving forward in our effort to have students be ready for post-high school. We're also going to continue to work on all of our physical and cultural learning environments in the Plymouth School District, and just for next year, we're going to evaluate and improve the physical and cultural learning environments throughout the school district. And part of that would, specifically, we're looking at the OM plan, which is being revised again this year, and that's the facilities and maintenance, which includes all of our buildings and grounds and how they're operating, and that plan incorporates prioritization of things that need fixing and things that could be upgraded throughout the district. And so that plan will be coordinated again with our strategic plan and our academic goals, and so we will do that together as a team to ultimately move forward with the plan and the safety plan as well, to align that with our strategic plan. We're getting cheers for our strategic plan here. That's kind of nice. The final future state that we're talking about is the PSD, Plymouth School District teachers, teacher leaders, staff, and administrators will be of the highest quality and deeply committed to the common mission for our children. One of the key points that, again, we brought this up at the CISA meeting today, was that we intend to develop our own district report card. And again, this would be another option, another example of us leading the way. And this report card will include many things that we, as a district and the board, under the board's leadership and the DLT and the staff, feel are very important and meaningful. You know, things such as the experiences that students could have in the new Food Science and Agriculture Center. None of that information appears on the state report card that comes to us. But we want to make sure that the public knows the great things that we're doing here and the big, the things that would draw people to our community that we continue to work on in this district. Most people don't know, I mean, you might not know coming in by looking, you wouldn't know looking at our state report card, that we have so many teachers with freshly minted master's degrees, and that those projects are directly aiding and helping in the curriculum development for our students. So we definitely want to make sure that those kinds of things are represented if we're saying this is why we're great, and this is why we're leaders. So when I brought that up at the CISA meeting today, again, in doing something like that, we would be definitely ahead of the curve. There are examples out there, but not a lot. So we would be leaders in that way again. We will continue to inspire and grow staff through professional learning and through our PDC workshops and graduate degree programs. The second cohort will be beginning here in, it already did begin, and it will continue to, I'm going to silence my phone. It will continue to work through this year and the following school year, and ultimately at the end of next school year, the students would graduate from the second cohort. The good news about, it's great news with the higher education levels of all of our staff, but some of their projects most likely will be piggybacking off of some of the projects that were done by the first cohort. So we're going to continue and deepen the knowledge and the commitment to some of those initiatives that were begun in the first cohort. And then, of course, we're going to continue to attract teachers, staff, and administrators, leveraging our framework, culture, and benefits and potential for growth and inspiration. I think that is a key factor that we are going to try to use. It's not just pay and benefits. Coming to a place and being at a place where you can grow and learn and where you're inspired to be there on a daily and weekly basis is a real selling point. And so when everybody else is, most school districts are pretty much the same in terms of benefits and pay across the state. So why would, what's in it for a teacher that's excellent coming our way? And if you've got a chance to be inspired and be excellent and be around a lot of other people that are, we want to make sure that that's part of our culture too. So just some of the highlights from our academic pillar for the upcoming 3-year period, and it's for you to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the academic excellence for the 21st century.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Nice work.
Yeah, very good work. We had a long meeting on our committee of the whole meeting about this, so we're pretty well informed as the community, just so the community knows. So, all in favor?
I like one more thing.
Sure.
I like the emphasis on the STEAM, the change in, from STEM to STEAM, and including the arts. And I thought the M was for music, but I realized math has to be included. But thank you again for your work. Arts.
I'll also say that Dan and I have talked about, you will start seeing next month some more of the graduate projects coming to the board, so you can see how they're being implemented into the curriculum, and you can see the difference that they're making. So you'll start seeing a few of these next month. So that'll be great for the community to see too. We're going to bring it to this board meeting, so our community can also take a see it.
So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, legislative update. Carrie, you want to start off?
Sure, I can begin. Actually, we did meet with our legislators for breakfast yesterday, and Tim and I did attend. There really wasn't anything particular on the agenda, but many different items of discussion came up while we were there. We did discuss a possible proposal of a bill to allow the governor to appoint the state superintendent instead of it being an elected position, and that conversation went on for a little bit. Tim talked very passionately about equalizing the revenue formula so that those of us who are in the bottom one-third of the school districts in the state could eventually, hopefully, get up to at least the average as far as spending goes. Another item that was discussed was a possible change to the rules in how we held referendums. There is the possibility of a bill coming out restricting referendums to only general elections, which would be the spring of the year. There was a concern about that because of the need to be able to go out for bid and a good time when you can go out to bid. So far, it hasn't been put into a bill, but it's being proposed as a possible bill. Also, we talked a little bit about changes to the WRS system, that a possible bill might come out there. And overall, it was a really good discussion, and I believe that our legislators do listen to us. I really felt that it was a good discussion, good give and take, and everyone was looking at these issues from all different perspectives. So most of it was pretty much just saying these are possible bills that might come up, but the session does end early November, so they're not sure if anything will come out anymore this session. So.
And I'll have further discussion on this in the President's report. So, any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on. Billings Finance will consider a resolution authorizing a taxable tax and revenue anticipation promissory note for cash flow proposed in the amount not to exceed $2,800,000. John, did you want any discussion on this?
Sure. Each year we go out to finance the district mostly from the end of October until we get our tax revenues in January. We tend to fall short in cash and we need to borrow money for that period of time. The past 2 years we've worked with our local bank, Bank First National, and they've offered us the exact same terms as the previous 2 years. The line of credit is for $2.8 million. Last year I think we went close to $2 million. We might go a little higher this year simply because of the financing part of the finishing up the new facility. But the terms are 2.5% flat. Again, we only have that note open about 2 months a year, and then sometimes we'll borrow a little bit in the summer just to make sure we have enough money until the first state aid appears in September. It's, like I said, the exact same thing we've done the previous 2 years. If there's any questions, I can certainly answer them, but the note would close, if you approved it tonight, the note would close on October 28th, and we could borrow right after that.
I move that we move forward with that proposal.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this? Okay, we have, our long-term goals is sometime in the future we hope to be able to be, not to borrow money for our operating costs, but in the foreseeable near future, it's not obtainable.
No.
So all those in favor of borrowing the $2,800,000, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to the next one, we will consider certification of the 2015-2016 school district tax levy of $11,271,617.
Before you tonight is the paperwork for the tax levy, at least the informational paperwork. I can say that the tax levy changed from the annual meeting approved. It's down around $17,000 from the levy approved at the annual meeting. For the levy approved compared to last year, it's down $70,405 or 0.62%. The Board of Ed notes, I believe, have the mill rate change. No, they don't. The mill rate change is down roughly 28 cents per thousand. I would use that number with great caution. Some townships increased in valuation, some decreased in valuation. That is an overall average. If you would go to your individual tax bill and expect to always see a 0.62% decrease in your taxes from last year to this year, that won't necessarily happen simply because of what your property did in relation to all the other properties. But overall average is down 0.62%, and the overall average mill rate is down about 0.28 cents per thousand. But if your valuation went up more than that mill rate dropped, your taxes could be higher. It's such a small change from last year. I guess if you see something that's above flat, that's probably unlikely, but you won't see a great decrease either. The numbers didn't change a lot. The calculation is on the last page. I can point out a couple things on the calculation. Our final enrollment numbers are there. However, we also have on the left side a $137,718 adjustment for new choice pupils. That is the taxable money we are allowed to add to our revenue cap this year for the new choice students attending private schools that live in our district. That number is 15 students. There is an equal and opposite expense on the new budget that takes that money and sends it to those private schools. But that does appear in our revenue limit. I was projecting at the meeting of the whole that I had understated the levy by $60,000, but we got a nice surprise shortly after the 15th when the state certified the final state aid. That came in $100,000 higher than their July estimate we were using at the annual meeting. So all in all, we got, with give and take in a few different places, we pretty much got to the levy we improved at the annual meeting.
Any questions? I have one, John, on the voucher system. Now, is there a financial burden that the students have to show the state before they can attend?
Yes, they have to show in their application that they are basically at, I think it's 200% of poverty. I could be wrong about that exact number, but it's some percent of poverty that's over 100%.
Okay.
And that's part of them, that school getting that aid. They also have to be a new student to that school. So the state had an enrollment list of all students last year, and they basically compared it to the enrollment list this year, and those are the quote-unquote new students.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to certify the 2015-2016 school district tax levy of $11,271,617.
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, we'll need to consider approval of the 2015.
One note on the last motion, we will need our clerk to come in the next week or so to sign what's it called? The certified levy copies that need to be, what is that called when you witness the signature?
Notarized.
Yeah. Yep, that's it. Okay.
Okay.
So I couldn't bring those tonight because we don't have a notary.
Could you do it on Friday?
Yep, that would work. Okay.
So you get to come in earlier. On Friday. An hour earlier. Now we need to consider certifying the 2015-2016 school district budget.
I can give you a few notes on this for you and also the general public. As I previously mentioned, revenues changed. Our levy was down $17,000 from the annual meeting. Our open enrollment, we used the full roster for the annual meeting. We now use the roster for the students we counted in September, so that revenue line was down $172,000. We got our handicapped aid eligibility for this next year. That is down $45,000 basically from last year, which was the estimate we used at the annual meeting. Our equalized aid, as previously mentioned, increased just a little over $100,000. Our special projects aid, which is basically our special education federal funding, was adjusted a little bit downward simply to meet maintenance of effort after they had some declines in their payrolls. We booked some sales of equipment that we are already made of scrap and a piece of equipment to TV-14, and thus we came up with a revenue that is budgeted only very slightly larger than what we actually had last year, which is only up roughly $17,000 from the revenue we experienced last year. So it's a very small budgeted growth in revenue, and as in past budgets, we are very accurate at projecting revenue, much more so than expenses. On the expense side, we decreased our salary and wages from the annual meeting estimates by just over $100,000. That reflected the newly hired teachers, aides, secretaries, and all kinds of people that were replacing people who left after July 31st. Our benefits also went down similarly, about $97,000, which is partly to that reduction in wages and partly to staff choosing generally single health and dental benefits instead of family ones for our new staff. Our services declined $111,000 from what we showed at the annual meeting, $98,000 of which was the open enrollment count of those students going out. Again, we were using the full roster for the annual meeting and then the students that actually left in September. Our supplies are up $16,000. We basically made a line item to make sure we had sufficient furniture and equipment in the new Agriculture and Food Science Center. Our capital item is up a smidge, $4,000, just because we are considering leasing some different equipment during the course of this year. Our transfer to Fund 27 is down $50,000, largely again because of, and that's the transfer of money from our general fund to balance our special education fund, and that's because they had some payroll reductions because of the hiring of new staff, as well as trying to use our grant to its full efficiency. And that changed our overall bottom line from about $174,000 in the hole that we showed at the annual meeting to $140,000 right now, recognizing that negative $140,000, $95,000 is the one-time expenditure to finish up, which is basically already spent, the electrical project for this year. So if that was taken out, we would have came in with about a $45,000 negative balance, which is very similar to the kind of budgets we brought into the board in the past and then outperformed during the year.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2015-2016 budget as presented.
Seconded.
Discussion? Hearing none, all approved?
Aye.
Okay. Then we'll consider approval of the snow plow bids for 2015 and 2016 school year.
Okay, we discussed this a little bit at the committee of the whole. I was able to meet with our leading bidder, CNS Construction, and fill in a couple of blanks. He is the bidder who is sort of taking over the business from our previous vendor, who is going out of the snow plowing business. He is using some of their equipment, some of their people, and taking over some of their clients. Currently, he had, as a good reference, the Johnsonville Sausage. He was doing their area plows and whatnot. He has said he would duplicate the billing rates of our previous vendor who did snow plowing last year. And that was easily the winning bid last year and would easily be the winning bid this year. So we are recommending that, and our Director of Buildings and Grounds went down there late part of last week, reviewed their equipment and expectations. He saw no red flags, and no reason to eliminate them as a vendor. So on that recommendation and the cost, I would recommend that we go with CNS Construction as our snowplow vendor for the 2015-16 winter season.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
The real difference is the salt prices, right? And
The salt is a driver. That's the biggest difference. Yeah, they get their salt from Canada, and I guess some others do and some don't. but-
Canadian salt.
There shouldn't be a salt shortage this year, I am told. so.
Okay. All those in favor of approval of the CNS construction, please say aye. Aye. And now, item E, considering of gifts and corresponding adjustments. Carrie?
Sure. Tonight we have a donation of $5,250 from Joe and Janice Nijakowski in their son Eddie's memory to the instrumental band department at Plymouth High School. A donation of an electric wheelchair to be used by students from Jennifer Spindler. A donation of a 2001 Buick Century automobile from Metco Incorporated. This donation will be used in the automotive department at Plymouth High School. A donation of a portable platform from Charles Hakma to be used in the drama department at Plymouth High School, and a donation of 75 engines from snowblowers to Plymouth High Technology Department from the Toro Company. So I do recommend that we approve the gifts and then the corresponding adjustment to the budget for the $5,250 cash donation.
I'll make a motion.
All in favor? Aye. Anybody sign up for a period? Okay. Board liaison, community ed. Richard?
Probably the most exciting part of community education is we're in the middle of the One Book, One Community initiative, reading the book by Harper Lee, Go Set a Watchman. In fact, as we're meeting right now at 7:30, there's at Porvino, there is a discussion group talking about the issue of feminism in the book, and they're very happy with the number of people that have been participating, and I did participate in a discussion the other night led by it's our former English teacher. I can't think. No, Jim Beaver. He was just an excellent boy. I wish I could have had him as a teacher when I was a student. He's really very enlightening, good discussion.
Yep.
And so this next Monday, is the next opportunity beyond tonight. At the Plymouth Brewing Company, our own Brad Fike is going to be leading a discussion on coming of age. And then there's 2 discussions on Tuesday and another one on Wednesday. So great opportunities for you to get in and participate in the learning experience, learning from one another as we discuss the book Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee. So that's probably the most exciting. We do have 3 weeks from tonight community education class on local food, pointing out the nutrition and the opportunities to support businesses here, grown locally, and eat healthy. And so that's 3 weeks from tonight. You can get in on that community education class. And then our staff at community education is presently working on the winter-spring class schedule. So all of those things are happening in community ed.
Okay. Any questions on that?
No, I'm ready to give my foundation.
Okay. Foundation then.
All right, I'm going to take you through the numbers, give you a few fun facts and a few dates. By the numbers, we had our grand opening and open houses for the Agricultural Center, and we had 500 people that came through, and thank you to everyone that helped make that happen, the donations from the community, and all the time that people donated to have the tours or put the tours on, and the students that were involved as well. Great experience. Other numbers to be aware of, the Pay It Forward challenge that the foundation put together. There were 120 alumni that donated. The class of 1965, they won the challenge. And the total Pay It Forward money raised from alumni was $8,000. So thank you to the alumni that participated in the Pay It Forward campaign. That money will go toward grants, other capital projects, scholarships, all the good work of the foundation. In addition to that, the Pay It Forward Challenge also challenged the school district kids to pay it forward, to do an act of kindness. And with that, then they created a link of their kindness, and that was on the fences along the homecoming area. And so it was great to see all the links on the fence. And in addition to that, Fairview, their student council did a Coins for Kindness drive, and they raised an additional $250 to go toward the grants and scholarships. So great participation from everyone in the Pay It Forward Challenge, and a big thank you to everyone that gave money. So, beyond that, some fun facts. At the homecoming event, the foundation sponsored the Welcome Back PHS alumni, and there were over 300 alumni that signed in at the Welcome Back table. And just some interesting numbers. The oldest alumni in attendance was class of 1948. The alumni who traveled the furthest came from Hawaii. And the class with the most alumni in attendance was the class of 1965, and they were celebrating their 50th. So great stuff there. And then finally, dates to remember, the grant, the foundation grant that we're putting together. There'll be an informational meeting and question and answer session on October 21st at 7 a.m. in the boardroom. In addition to that, just everyone should keep in mind that the foundation's deadline for grants will be February 5th. We will announce the award winners in May, and those grants then will be put into action for the 2016-17 school year. So that's the good work of the foundation.
Thank you, Bob. Family Resource Center, Pam.
I just wanted to bring the catalog to your attention. You might have received this in the mail. And it gives a good outline of all the classes that are provided by the Family Resource Center. Parents as teachers, you can sign up for that. If you have a new child, birth to 6 years old is basically what the age span is. If you're a first-time parent, you qualify, or a first-time grandparent, possibly, if you're taking care of your grandchild. And then also, besides the courses that we list, it's a good community resource. So it does have information about library story hours and John Michael Arts Center classes as well, and other information for you. So please take a look at that when you receive it in the mail. And that's my report.
Thank you. CISA 7, John.
Shockingly, I have nothing to report.
And then finally, Professional Development Council, Sally.
I missed the meeting, but Dan gave me an update on what happened. At the elementary level, the Professional Development Committee, they developed curriculum based on grade band goals, specifically in math, using practices with visuals and manipulatives, in English language arts, in using our teachers' expert developed writing program as a workshop model for the student formative assessment. And at Riverview, they had curriculum development and goal areas was integrated with a focus on differentiation and formative assessments. Specifically, the teams worked across grade bands in science, math, English language arts, fine arts, and social studies. An example includes conferencing as a formative assessment tools in the English language arts students and thinking like a historian in social studies. I would like to have been at that one. And here at the high school, the teachers developed curriculum in goal-focused areas, assessing community, industry, and post-secondary input. For example, the math team visited the LTC to connect technical and applied math to the work begun last year by the UWGB cohort team. Special education met with Habitat for Humanity to begin planning for a Plymouth Home project, and many other relationships were begun or refreshed in a cooperative dialogue about how and what students are learning. That's it. We'll update you next month.
Personnel report.
Right, tonight we have just support staff updates. So Patty Krupp, custodian at Riverview Middle School, has issued her retirement for November 13th, 2015. Patty has worked for the district for 24 years. And Shar Nelson, secretary at Horizon Elementary School, has issued her retirement for November 20th, 2015. Shar has worked for the district for 25 years. And Nancy Severin, special education aide at Riverview Middle School, has issued her retirement or her resignation on September 25th, 2015. Nancy has worked for the district for 9 years. And then finally, Anita Garcia has been hired to fill a special education aide position at Riverview Middle School. And that's all I have for personnel.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yep.
We had nothing on the consent agenda that was separated, so we'll continue on to the President's report. I have a little bit of follow-up on our legislative breakfast plus other contacts that I've had, and I attended a delegate meeting for Wisconsin Association of School Boards last month. First of all, at our legislative meeting, they were talking about changing our state constitution to allow the governor to appoint the superintendent of public education. In general, most of the people of the school board strongly disagreed with that. They continue to believe that it's the will of the people. They should be elected to that position and not a governor appointee. I think the only restriction that we had is that the superintendent of public education has sued the legislature because of the oversight committee the legislature had. So as long as the legislature has oversight of the Department of Public Education, I see no reason why we wouldn't directly elect that person. But if that lawsuit fails, I think that we might want to change our mind so that we have some legislative or administrative oversight to the Department of Public Instruction. The other thing that we had discussed was and this was brought up during the legislative meeting, but I had a couple of phone calls today after the review had this cartoon about concealed carry. The proposed concealed carry law only is concerned for colleges and state colleges of the University of Wisconsin system. Has nothing to do with K-12, period. And the things that we had brought up, and they had talked to us about that, their proposal, and we had, as a group, kind of disagreed with that proposal of concealed carry for colleges. But the other thing that we did emphasize to our legislative committee is that we have to establish mental health laws in this community, in this state, and reestablish proper mental health laws. One thing Wisconsin area school boards are bringing to you and your delegates in January is mental health evaluation of all students throughout the state and state financed. And I kind of agree with that. So I think that they listened and they were thinking that that would be a good idea. We'll see what comes out of legislation later on. The other thing is that I had contact, because of the loss of $16,000 in our hot lunch program, I had contacted our congressman and talked with his personnel and told them that we would greatly need a rebuttal or a repeal of this current health, what you call healthy lunch law mandated by the federal government. Congressman Grossman's office indicated they're strongly in favor of repealing that law and block granting back to the states, which we block granted back to us for our food services, okay, and that we would maintain the choice of what is a healthy lunch for our students rather than the state. And in turn, perhaps we wouldn't lose $16,000 in a year. So that was the other thing that I had brought up that I had contacted out after we left our meeting. So, and that's all I have to report now.
Okay, fantastic.
You bet.
So for the superintendent report, I do have many things that have been happening in the district. First of all, I want to congratulate Justice Scott, who's a fourth grader at Parkview Elementary School, for her winning design in the Plymouth School District T-shirt contest, Eat Like a Panther, that was actually run through our food service program this last fall, actually right before homecoming. The Fairview PTO held a walkathon on October 2nd and raised $5,000 for their school. And Riverview Middle School Raft held a color run to raise money for educational opportunities. And thank you to Gina Graffentine, Jessica Barrington, and Jim Solachek for leading the organization and this event. And of course the students and the parents who participated, along with the rest of the staff. Sophie Bullock finished first as a conference champ in our cross-country conference meet on Saturday. And all of our athletes are now entering the playoff session, and we should hear more next month, as we can hear outside the door right now, as our volleyball team is playing, and I'm sure having a good time. I do want to thank all of the staff who participated in the ribbon cutting and the open house for the Food Science and Agriculture Center. It really was a great showing, and we really do have a lot to be proud of. That was a wonderful evening. I can't say enough, and when I talk about staff, I mean teachers, I mean the custodians, the buildings and grounds personnel that prepared, the foundation, people who helped us. It was just overwhelming, and I'm very pleased. I also want to thank Kay Tharp, Jody Timler, and Megan Helmich for their leadership during homecoming week. It was a great week. We know a lot of time and effort goes into planning these events, and we certainly can be proud of how it turned out. I think I have heard many times people say Plymouth does the best homecoming, and I would believe that. So, excellent. I want to announce that we did receive a letter from the officials for the cross-country conference meet complimenting Jay Grotius, science teacher and head coach, on his leadership in putting together the East Central Conference cross-country meet here last Saturday. The letter stated that Jay provided an environment where all teams and athletes were given the opportunity to excel, and that Plymouth community can be proud of the effort the school district put forth. And I also want to share with you tonight this article that we received from the Wisconsin STEM Pathways magazine. It is featured, and it is one of our very own teachers, Paul Krasaniak, who, this is the STEM magazine for Wisconsin, and Paul is featured because of his strategies that he uses while he's teaching our Principles to Engineering course. It's pretty amazing, so I wanted to share that. And I also received a letter from the, believe it or not, I receive a lot of positive letters. I do, a letter from our, one of our judges for the football game to New Berlin, and it says, I was the sideline judge for last Friday's football game against New Berlin. The Plymouth team and coaches were directly behind me all evening. I am writing to let you know how impressed I was with your coaches and players' attitudes and sportsmanship. No complaining about calls, no foul language by players or coaches, and much coach sideline encouragement to their players who were having a difficult time against a tough New Berlin team. As a ref, coach, and father of a state champion son, I firmly believe the coach's effect on their players' moral, ethical development is equally, if not more important than the football skills they teach. Your team and coaches are to be commended on both. So, very nice.
Yes, very nice.
Very nice. And then I also received a letter from the University of La Crosse Chancellor. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's long, but it is about Mr. Todd Williams, our business education teacher. And basically what it states is that a freshman at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse has identified Todd as significantly impacting his life and being the one person who has helped him in his decision to enter college and pursue a degree. It does say that it is an old metaphor that a good teacher starts ripples in society that extends far beyond what a teacher can ever see. It is possible that a student may never personally have the opportunity to let you know how much you have affected his life. Consequently, permit me to commend your success and thank you for your role in educating and shaping this fine young person. So that's a pretty amazing letter we received also. And an announcement also I want to make. This is a sad announcement, but John Clemmy will be submitting his resignation from the school board to our clerk to be effective October 31st, 2015. John has sold his home and will be moving out of the district. We will discuss the process for filling the position at the Committee of the Whole meeting in November. John, I just want to thank you for everything you've done and the amount of time you've committed to the students of this district. You've done a lot.
And conversely, I want to thank all of the people who have served with me on the board, the administrators, the teachers of this district. Truly a team effort creating a outstanding learning environment, producing my two kids and me as well, a long way back. But really, it's been a rewarding experience serving on the board. I'm really sad
that it happened this fast, that our house sold so quickly, and that I'm stepping down. But I know the board is in a great spot. The school district is in a great position to continue to excel. So good luck to all of you.
Thanks. Thanks, John.
John, will you participate with us on Friday?
I'm not sure that I'll be able to because of my work schedule. I want to, and I may still end up being able to, but I'm not positive.
I hope you could, because we
Yeah.
want to emphasize.
Yeah, I would like to.
Good. And speaking of that, dates to remember, this Friday, we do have DAPES training at 11 a.m., and that is where CISA 7 will, or CISA 6 will come in and help us learn the, well, it is the teacher effectiveness project, but it'll be for the evaluation of district administrators, so that'll be a nice long day. October 30th, we have no school. November 2nd, I do want to talk a little bit about Plan Your Future Night. It's at 6 o'clock and it's at Riverview Middle School. This is an outstanding event to help prepare K-12 students and their parents for upcoming opportunities related to their future. So I think this isn't just a high school event, this is an event for K-12 students, and there's going to be many things for people to be able to learn for their students' future. November 9th is a Committee of the Whole meeting at 5 p.m. November 12th, Policy Committee meeting at 4 p.m. And November 17th, the Board of Education meeting at 7 p.m. And just a last note is I did bring 2 of the WASB flyers for November 7th. I don't know if you saw this, but there's a conference on legislative advocacy, and I did just want to bring it. It's nothing I want to commit anyone to, but if you are available to attend, this is the reason I brought it is because it is part of our financial pillar to be more of an advocate with the legislators. So if anyone's interested, I have it here. And that's all I have tonight. Tim?
Thank you. We'll need a motion to adjourn in the closed session under 19.85 of the Wisconsin State Statutes for deliberation or negotiation of the sale of the district property on the west side of Highway 67.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Roll call?
John?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Sally, yes. Richard? Yes. Jamie? Yes. And Bob?
Yes.